beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today I will be talking about the topic of the 20s. So basically I will be sharing a little bit of my experiences, a few things that I learned throughout my 20s. I believe that growing isn't really growing if you haven't learned a few lessons along the way. So these are things that I feel that were quite important lessons of my own that I'm going to share. I am no expert on life. I don't actually think there's anybody that's like expert on life. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this topic and that you enjoy the video. So a very important thing that I learned in my 20s is that a prayer life is very important. My first experience staying away from my parents. Boy, you learn so many different things, you meet so many different people. I heard about people talking about sleep paralysis and stuff, and I had never experienced it. But when I went to res, yeah, I don't know, some people call it normal, some people call it, I don't know, natural, but I as a Christian know that that was something that was definitely spiritual, and I took my spiritual life more seriously. To cut the story short, it's very important that you take your prayer life really serious. Growing up, your parents pray so much for you that their prayers cover you and protect you to the point that you don't even feel like you need to pray yourself. But going to university and experiencing what I experienced really taught me that it's so important to have your own prayer life. Prayer is important. Another thing I learned is that there's actually no easy job or easy career path. I know that a lot of people think that there's some sort of easy thing because maybe someone is not, I don't know, a neurosurgeon, or a person is not a scientist, or a person is not an accountant, or especially in African cultures, it's very prominent where a lot of people think that if you're not in a certain category or career, that what you're doing is not important, or quote unquote difficult. So with that being said, I admire those people in those fields, but I do understand that nothing comes easy. Even the smallest job, which you would actually think is the smallest job, requires effort, requires hard work and determination. So there's actually nothing that's easy in this world. And I think a lot of people think that things out there are easy. People live an easy life. Maybe let's say if a person is a model, believe it or not, modeling does require a lot of effort, work. And although you think that it's just smiling and looking pretty, not everybody can smile and look that pretty on those pictures. It's actually a skill and a talent that a person has, and requires people to wake up early in the mornings, stand for hours, pose in the cold weather. It's, you know, there's nothing that's actually easy out there. So that's one thing I learned. And as much as people put emphasis on the bigger jobs, the bigger titles, the bigger careers, the bigger courses in terms of studying, really, like, it's all about what your passion is. It's all about what you really enjoy to do, and staying true to yourself in that. Because I think a lot of people have found themselves going for things that are popular or are requested by family members or society or culture or cultural group, yeah, just to be accepted in some sense. So yeah, there's nothing easy. There's no easy job, there's no easy career, there's no easy work path. This is everything. Mindset is everything. Let me say, mindset is everything. For the longest of times in my 20s, I find myself just belittling any ideas I have, belittling my craft, belittling. So if I do makeup, I'd be like, not so good, I don't like it. I always was just unsatisfied. I'm like, I'm just mediocre, you know. And then I just realized, like, if I am not the biggest fan of what I do, if I'm not the biggest fan of myself, who will be? No one's gonna believe in me if I don't believe in myself. What's the use of even trying if you're not gonna put 110% and believe in that? You know what I mean? So guys, it's very important to work on your mindset. It's something that has to be worked on, prayed for, something that doesn't come naturally a lot of the times, but refuse to think negative thoughts about yourself. Somehow, somewhere, it's just going to become second nature. That's something that I've worked on tremendously and continue to work on. I'm definitely a work in progress. The mind is just a whole different thing on its own. And it's very important to practice every day, instilling positivity into your mind and seeing yourself as great as God sees you are. You know, as much as someone else out there might not think you're great, but God thinks you're amazing. And that for me is enough to think that I'm amazing. Phew, God made me this way. Who cares what anyone says? This one is really, really, really important, because I think a lot of us get into a point where we want to achieve a certain thing, and we look so down on ourselves when we fail. Failure is not something that defines a person. In fact, it's needed. I know it's been heard several times. A lot of people have said this, but I, for one, can explain to you that I have failed several times. Because firstly, maybe I was not focused enough. I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I was not sure about the career path or the subjects that I was studying at school. And I actually realized now that it's okay as like maybe a 19-year-old not to know exactly what you want to do with your life, because a lot of the time you find people starting off with things that they actually don't end up completing because they wanted to do things because it sounded cool, or it's something that's in, or maybe their family members have pressurized them into doing. So it's very important to know that failure does not define you. I have failed. I'm not speaking just because it sounds beautiful or it sounds motivating. I am a person that's sitting and has looked back on several failures that I've had, to a point where, you know, you look back and you feel like you're nothing. You're not smart. You're not capable of doing anything that actually brings you somewhere. I was in that place, and it actually got to a point where I had to learn that, you know what, it's okay. I failed. I tried, it didn't work, but you know, that doesn't define who I am. That doesn't define where I'm going. In fact, I'm going to use this and build from it and be wiser next time and not do the same mistakes. If you're out there right now and you're struggling with something that you failed on, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in your capability. Don't ever compare yourself to someone else. And that leads me to the next point. Follow your own road. Focus on your own journey. So I think it's hard as a human being to like look forward and continue looking forward. That's something that I did struggle with in the beginning, because we talked about failure. I failed, and I saw so many people doing so well, and you know, although I was happy for a lot of people who were doing well, it felt like I had a void inside of me because I was not moving at the same pace as them. I was not sure about what I was doing. I was not passionate about what I was doing, and I was not happy. And it gets to a point where sometimes you get so hard on yourself. You start comparing yourself to others, and you're comparing your journey to others, and you become miserable and negative thoughts, and you know, even spiritually it has an effect on you. So just don't compare yourself. I mean, if God was to create you like someone else, there would be no originality. If your story was the same as someone else's, what would be the excitement in that? You know, so as much as it may seem difficult at this point, and sometimes even, I mean, I'll probably be guilty of doing that and having to snap myself back into reality, you know, later in life, or even like at some point, because it's such human nature to want to do things at a specific time or in a specific way, or to look at someone and be like, oh, I wish I could do something like that. It's very important to take that as inspiration, but not as or a measure of your own capabilities. Everyone is different. Another very important point that I would like to talk about is being kind but not being a doormat. I struggled with that. Like, I used to be afraid to say no, but let people just, you know, always like, oh, would you help me with this? Yes. Would you do this for me? Yes. Would you? I'd always be like that yes girl. And I learned that it's okay to say no. It's okay to not want to do things. It's okay to refuse if you just don't feel like it, or refuse if you can't. I think I put so much pressure on myself to be quote unquote kind that I at some point allow people to do things to me that I wouldn't allow now. You know what I'm saying? So there's a very big importance in setting your boundaries, not allowing people to take advantage of you. Kindness doesn't mean letting people do what they want. Kindness does not mean putting yourself last. You know, I've noticed that in this world it's harsh like that, but if you allow people to just step all over you, they will continue to, and they won't have remorse. Yeah, so be kind, but don't be a doormat. Don't let people take advantage of you. Have boundaries. Be assertive about those boundaries. Lower your expectations of people. I know it's quite a tricky one, because when you look to relationships, I don't believe anyone should compromise the quality of a relationship you should have, a certain level of being treated. Obviously, if you're in a relationship with a person, a loved one, or you want something that's reciprocated, and what I've learned is that people reciprocate in different ways. So you might have a friend who you've been there for, and you know, you've given gifts to or whatever, and the friend is not really a gift giver but is always there and always trying to support you. You might have this friend who's always there to talk to you through tough times but is never at parties. So you just need to understand the people that you're friends with and accept people as they are. People don't express love and appreciation in the same way. I mean, we're all different, you know, so you might find yourself getting upset or getting cranky because this person didn't do this but you did this, because you have expectations. And that's something that I learned. Never have expectations of how people will act towards you because you did something, or never expect people to be a certain way or supportive. Or you don't have disappointments in the end. You won't be so heartbroken to the point that you start disliking the person. You won't be so heartbroken to the point that you start distancing yourself from a person who is a good person, who doesn't have the same love language, you could say. And love languages even apply to friendships. Understand the people as they are, for who they are, and see their efforts like that, instead of seeing their efforts based on what your efforts were. This brings me to my next point. Don't confuse acquaintances with friends. A lot of the times I would place people in a certain level. This goes hand in hand with expectations. So what I would do was literally like meet someone, we create a friendship, which I believe was a friendship, and place this person on a very high, like a pedestal type thing. And obviously with that comes expectations. You get to a point where you expect the same treatment from the person. Be very, very careful with who you choose to be your friends. It's very important to find people who are inspiring to you, who keep you level-headed, people who motivate you, people who bring positivity into your life. Please avoid people who are naysayers, people who act very different. Like one day this way, the next day they're the type of person who truly believes in real friendships. I don't believe in wasting time in pretentious relationships. I think it gets to a point, especially at an age of 30, where you need to know who your friends are. It's very important to choose people who motivate you, people who pray with you, people who not only want to be there in good times, but people who are there when things are not going great for you. People who are, real, who tell you when you're messing up, who tell you when you're acting out of your shoes, people who are real. And when you have that high standard for friendships, you have very few friends. There's people who have a lot of people around them and they're friends with this one and that one and that one. Oh, that's my brother. Oh, this is my sister. Oh, meanwhile, this person would never help you if you were like out and messed up. This person would never ever look twice at you if you didn't have what you had. I don't know, I'm just not one of those people with tons of friends. I have a very small knit group of friends who are gems. You motivate each other, you pray with each other, you root each other on in projects, you tell each other, look, you're changing. And those are friends that I pray to keep for the rest of my life. Being friends with people because they have a certain status, or because they look a certain way, or they have something that you want, it will never really benefit you at the end. Don't mix acquaintances with friends. Don't mix them up. Choose your friends wisely. And if you get into situations where friends disappoint you, don't live with hate in your heart. Forgive. This brings me to the next point. It's very important to forgive, not only as Christians, but just as an individual, so you can flourish. I feel like a lot of unforgiveness becomes hatred and becomes this burden that you carry with you, and you won't go anywhere with that, to be very honest. So it's very important to forgive. Remember the lesson, but forgive. Goes in line with forgive yourself. I think a lot of us are very hard. I mean, I'm hard on myself a lot. Still till today, I have to kind of snap myself out of it. I'm quite hard on myself. When something I do doesn't go the way it's intended to go. When I don't do well at something, I've been very critical in the past. I've learned to kind of work on that. Forgive yourself for what you've done wrong. Forgive yourself for the things that you have done that are not good. You know, a lot of time we ask for forgiveness from God, but we don't actually forgive ourselves, you know. There's a lot of mistakes that you make in your 20s. There's a lot of things that you do that you may not be happy with or proud of, but these are things that you learn to grow from. You know, there's no such thing as a perfect human being. Just walk into a room and a person just decides they don't like you. This is real. It actually happens. People just decide they don't like you just for no reason. And that's the thing, not everybody will like you. You're not everybody's cup of tea, and you don't have to be. You know, you can be that one person that person just can't stand just because they just can't stand you, and it is what it is. You can't please everyone in the world, and you need to know that. Yeah, and always putting God first in everything. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Life is just a puzzle on its own, and you know, sometimes you need to have a bit of motivating words and also some reality checks just to get you in order. You know what, guys, I'm thankful to God for adding another year into my life, for giving me this beautiful life that I have. All of you guys always keep me motivated and always have so much positivity to share. You don't understand. I love you guys. So I just want to say thank you, and to all my subscribers, you guys are the bomb. Please don't forget, if you have not subscribed, to subscribe to this channel, and I will be back very soon. Cheerio!